Hello and welcome to Why Monitoring Tools Fail Within Secure Environments. Today's special webinar is sponsored by Zscaler and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from Actual Tech Media and I'm excited to be your moderator for this event. Now, before we get to today's great content, we do have a few housekeeping items that will help you get the most out of this session. First off, we want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in our webinar control panel. Not only will we have team members responding to questions during the live event, but we'll also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation where we'll discuss in greater detail some of the top questions that you ask. And that Q&A panel is also the place to let us know in the unlikely event that you have any technical issues. A browser refresh is going to fix most audio, video, or slide advancement issues, but if that doesn't work, just let us know there in the Q&A and we will provide further technical assistance. Second, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to some links to case studies from Zscaler. So there's one on water care, one on Sienna, and one on Verisk. So also in there are a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club, where you can get access to Actual Tech Media's great printed resources on technology topics, as well as a link to the ATM Event Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events. Third, at the end of this webinar, we will be awarding a $300 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for that prize. Official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found in your handout section. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll find the terms and conditions link there. Now, finally, one of the best benefits of this event is the opportunity to ask a question of our expert presenters. So to help encourage your questions, we have a special additional prize for you. That's another Amazon gift card, this one for $50 for the best question. At the end of the event, we'll look at all the questions, pick out the very best one, and contact that prize winner. And with that, let's get to today's great content. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our presenters today. We have Rohit Goyal, who's a product marketing manager at Zscaler, and we have Vikas Srivastava, who's a principal product specialist at Zscaler. So I'm going to turn things over to Rohit to get us started.
All right. Thank you, Scott, for that introduction. Today's topic is on why monitoring tools fail within secured environments. My name is Rohit Goyal, product marketing for Zscaler Digital Experience. In my role, I'm eager to share customer experiences through stories and collecting feedback for product teams. I'm joined by Vikas, who's a principal product specialist focused on deep technical customer engagements. We have a lot to cover in this agenda, so let's get started. With over 6,000 customers, including many of the world's largest organizations, our customers tell us that they're facing pressure to transform, whether to transform security to stop every sophisticated cyber threat or enable a secure hybrid workforce. They're looking to transform to cloud, not just for SaaS, but also for internally managed applications, and modernizing infrastructure to cut costs and gain agility. Zscaler has experience partnering with organizations like yours to address these challenges. For example, thinking about transforming security, we've been able to boost ransomware protection by 85% versus legacy security. When you're thinking about securing your hybrid workforce, we've secured over 30 million users. To transform to cloud, securing apps in the cloud, and as well as improving user experience and reducing latency by up to 40% for users accessing SaaS applications. And when you're thinking about modernizing infrastructure, we've helped customers achieve 90% reduction in networking and security application costs. Most of our customers have a network and security architecture that has evolved to something like this diagram when we start working with them. Their networks have expanded as they have grown, and they've tried to stay secure by deploying firewalls and VPNs. This may look like your organization today, depending on where you are on your cloud transformation journey. What sort of network do you have, and how do you secure it today? This architecture served us well for many years, particularly when our users were in the office and our apps were in the data center. But with apps moving to the cloud and a hybrid workforce with multiple locations, we're seeing gaps, especially around cyber threat and security risks, data loss and data loss vulnerability, and application access challenges, and poor user experience. We're going to focus on poor user experience and the lack of visibility within secure environments today. The idea is that we want to help you diagnose end-to-end user experience issues that can be challenging, particularly for work from anywhere workforce. Many of these monitoring tools were designed for scenarios where users were in the office on networks and apps were in the data center. In order to understand why network monitoring tools fail within secured environments, we must first look at how users connect. As employees continue to operate in a hybrid model, there are three common scenarios end users experience, all of which pose IT challenges. The most basic scenario is when end users connect directly to SaaS applications from a remote location. This can be either your home or a hotel. The traffic is routed to a home wireless router, which forwards packets to an internet service provider or ISP and connects to the SaaS application. In this scenario, traffic is not secured, which leaves the end user vulnerable to attacks. The challenge is that network operations teams and service desk teams don't own the connectivity between the end user's device and the SaaS application, which makes it difficult to troubleshoot. When users connect directly to the application, monitoring tools fail to provide the insight from the end user through the network hops to the application. This creates blind spots for network operations and service desk teams. You're going to hear me use that term quite often. Let's take a look at another example. When an end user is experiencing trouble, it can come from many different forms. In this example, we're connecting directly to the SaaS application, Zoom, and they're not able to connect. The end user calls into the help desk to create a trouble ticket, and support has to run through some basic runbook as they're not able to figure out if it's the device, network, or application. This makes troubleshooting cycles really long and disrupts the end user's productivity and creates a poor user experience. There are several ways to troubleshoot your environment. And as remote workers, you may try to Google a few options, but these are not always the root cause and could increase your frustration if you don't solve it. In this case, power cycling your modem or router might not be worth it if you're not sure if it's the device, maybe it's the network, and it could totally well be the application itself. Let's take a look at another scenario. In this scenario, the end user connects to their remote network, home or again from their home or a hotel. However, the traffic is now forwarded to a security solution which inspects the traffic and connects to that SaaS application. This is where service desk and network operations teams start to lose that end-to-end visibility again. The connection from the end device to the security solution is typically fine. However, monitoring the traffic from the security solution to the SaaS application typically breaks. And again, you're creating these blind spots. Service desk and network operations teams must utilize multiple tools to gain insights from the end user devices to those SaaS applications and security solutions. This lack of end-to-end visibility from the single pane of glass into digital experiences forces IT teams into reactive troubleshooting versus proactively identifying and resolving issues. In looking at IT tickets that are created, that are spread across different segments. Again, it's all about thinking about it from that device, network, and application standpoint. End user experience is a combination of all three segments working together. For example, the challenge is when these tickets are created. There isn't enough data to quickly triage the problem. End users report anything from my computer's slow to everything works fine at my desk to I'm unable to join the meeting. As users are remote and change between networks, the complexity can stifle their experience. Let's look at this last scenario. SaaS applications and private applications are both being secured in this example. Traffic from the end user device starts the same as the first two scenarios, but adds the additional route for private applications, whether they're hosted on premises or in a public cloud. This scenario is complex when troubleshooting, as service desk and network operations teams must diagnose several fragmented networks to piece together an end user's traffic to an application. This is time-consuming, creates cumbersome processes, and requires network expertise to correlate data across multiple monitoring solutions. Again, with many security solutions, service desk and network operations teams tend to lose visibility into what happens with the traffic as it passes through the security solution. Again, think about those blind spots we keep talking about. Additionally, there's another scenario where end user traffic is being backhauled over VPN to secure the connection to those private applications, which creates that additional complexity for troubleshooting. For example, could it be the VPN concentrator that's overloaded? Or is it the device? Maybe it's the network. Or maybe it's a little bit more widespread. Let's take a look at this example. This is what an end user might see if they're connecting to a private application such as Jira, which states that there's a communication breakdown. But it's hard to diagnose the root cause from the error message. Again, it could be the network or VPN connection, or maybe it's just the device. This becomes really hard to diagnose, especially for L1 support or maybe even L2 sometimes, as there's no quick way to figure out, if it's, the application issue, or maybe it's something a little bit more global, and then quickly drill into the user level. All right, so rest assured that there are many solutions to these challenges, but it's all about how you remove complexity and quickly triage issues to empower your service desk and network operations teams to get to the root cause fast. I'm going to pass it over to Vikas to walk you through the solution and some demos. Take it away, Vikas.
All right. Thank you, Rohit. To help with the issues Rohit outlined, we at Zscaler pioneered a new approach to security and connectivity in the cloud. The Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange is a cloud-native platform that acts like a switchboard. It verifies your identity and context and applies controls to ensure you're not carrying threats or leaking sensitive data, and then enforce policies to determine whether to connect you to the application source. Traditional monitoring tools are siloed. These tools are either focused on device monitoring, network monitoring, or SaaS monitoring, leaving behind spots between the full application delivery chain. ZDX is an integrated service on the top of the Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange. ZDX provides visibility into the end-to-end user experience and the path they are taking to the application. Zscaler is sitting between your applications and the users, and we are sitting at an ideal place. The traffic goes through us. So Zscaler Digital Experience helps IT team monitor digital experience from the end user perspective to optimize performance and rapidly fix offending applications, networks, and devices. ZDX is uniquely positioned because it monitors application performance, network performance, and the endpoint device health. Also, with more meetings now taking place online rather than in person, we have partnered closely with Zoom and Microsoft to gather comprehensive telemetry about the meeting experience. We also enrich and collect the call quality data using APIs and enrich the data which we have already collected for better visibility. ZDX uses machine learning to accurately expose root cause by looking at information from past experiences and ensuring IT addresses the core issues causing poor user experience, not just the symptoms. ZDX provides IT teams a single pane of glass to why, when, and what failed. ZDX also provides service desk teams with all the information they need to resolve user issues. Let's consider this scenario where your CEO flew to Sydney on business, and while they tried to unsuccessfully call into a board meeting. Upon raising complaint, the service desk analyst using ZDX was quickly able to find out that the CEO was having poor Microsoft Teams experience, while everybody else in the organizations were having good experience with Microsoft Teams. There was no issues with the service. The CEO's device itself appeared healthy, but upon looking at the network path, the CEO's device was taking um, uh, upon looking at the network path the CEO's device was taking, the analyst could tell that the gateway was having issues connecting to Telstra, their local ISP. The analyst recommended CEO in this case to use the phone's Wi-Fi hotspot, following which they were able to call into the board meeting without any interruptions. Let's look at another example where network operations team is monitoring digital experience across the company's applications and service portfolio. Here, they can see that while Workday and Box are performing well, users based out in India are having poor experience with OneDrive. They can immediately from ZDX drill down to identify the impacted regions and are able to narrow it down to the network latency, in this case between BSNL, the service provider there, and the Microsoft data center. The network team then raised a ticket with Microsoft in order to resolve the problem. So let's take a look at some of the real world deployments of ZDX and how customers are benefiting from it. WaterCare, who is responsible for providing continuous drinking water supply to 1.7 million residents, moved away from traditional VPN systems and deployed ZPA in less than half a day. With ZPA and ZIA implemented, WaterCare turned its attention to improving user experience issues. Existing tools were not able to pinpoint to the source of many problems. It was frustrating and discouraging for users when an issue would go unresolved for weeks. With ZDX, it took them only a few seconds to track down Teams issues and application issues, which were frequently related to users' ISP, the internet service provider. Even when tech support team couldn't directly solve the problem, users were relieved to learn what are the next steps they need to take to resolve this problem. Furthermore, WaterCare was able to leverage ZDX application score to move from traditional reactive break and fix model to a more proactive approach. They were able to look at which applications needed attention before the user's experience for those applications got affected. Another example, Sienna is a networking systems software services company with 8,000 employees across 35 countries. Pre-COVID, when IT teams were looking to deploy video conferencing, they quickly realized that this would be adding further to the amount of traffic they already have on their hub and spoke, legacy hub and spoke architecture. With Zscaler's VeloCloud integration, Sienna was able to simplify branch IT operations and leverage local internet breakouts at all of its global locations, removing MPLS backhauling, which reduced latency by 20%. And after deploying ZIA and ZPA, Sienna started looking into monitoring digital experience, which would help them resolve many cryptic issues. So here are a few examples from the customer. The first one is when a user was experiencing issues related to his MacBook, and with ZDX, they were able to pinpoint that this issue was caused due to repeatedly switching between sleep and wake states of MacBook, which was extremely hard to figure out without ZDX. Another example where ZDX helped pinpoint suboptimal routing issues where traffic in Silicon Valley was being routed through Dallas. And the last customer use case example for today is Verisk, a financial services and insurance giant with 9,000 employees in 34 countries. Here are a few examples directly from the customer on how ZDX helped them. So Verisk mentioned that they had a user experiencing chronic performance issues for about 4 months. Prior to ZDX, they weren't able to pinpoint the source of the problem. With ZDX, it only took them minutes to determine that the configuration on the user's home Wi-Fi router was the culprit. Verisk also called out that the capability to launch on-demand troubleshooting sessions and the integration with Splunk helped them help them quickly identify issues from one central interface. All right, so with that, let's look into some of this in real time in a live demo. All right, so once you're logged in into ZDX, you are greeted with a dashboard here on the top where you can select the time range of the data which you'd like to drill down into. So you could select from 2 hours, 4 hours, all the way to 48 hours, and you can also change it to custom and select a time range of your choice. After that, you have option to further drill down based on departments, Zscaler locations, and active geolocation information based on country, state, all the way down to the cities. And next, you will see the most impacted applications listed in increasing order. So the worst performing application in your organization listed at first. So the worst performing application listed first. After that, you have a global view of the specific application selected and what does the user experience look like across the globe. As you scroll down further, it shows the ZDX score for that application over a period of time. You could further come in and select another application which you'd like to compare this application score with. So in this case, we are comparing the ZDX score for SharePoint Online compared to Outlook Online, and more or less they are performing trending and performing along the similar lines. Scrolling back up, you also could drill down right from the map view and draw a fence around an interesting area and drill down right from there. So here you have a list of states where you can further drill down and select a city or remove a city as you'd like, and click filter to fence, which will take you directly to the users which were there in that selected time frame range. So if you notice, what we are doing is we are going from top-down approach, and we are able to go all the way down to the offending users and the applications which are having poor experience in this case. So let's click on, while we are at the user view, we have the listed while we are at the users view, we have all the users based on the fence which we draw, the ZDX score distribution or different pillars. They are divided into poor, okay, and good score buckets. So in this case, we are looking at 2 users who are having poor score. We can further drill down from here and look at what's going on. So as we come to this page, we can see Curtis, who's using this specific device. We can see all the details related to operating system, the hardware information. How is the user connected to the network? Is the tunnel on? Is the tunnel off? You can click on show more details here, which will give you further more details about the user's hardware, network, and software metrics. As we scroll down further, we see that the score for SharePoint Online is 10, which is in the poor category. And the ZDX score over time for that selected application. The ZDX score is dependent on multiple different metrics, but the main metric which contributes to the score calculation is the web page metric. So in this case, we are seeing that the time it takes for the web probe, the synthetic probe to load is around 30,000 milliseconds. That's a lot, which is impacting the user's application score. We also see the server response time, the DNS resolution time, and the availability. So this is telling us that the availability of the application is looking good. So let's go all the way down and look at the cloud path. This is where you get to see the path the user is taking to the given application. And in this case, we are able to see that the Wi-Fi signal strength for the user, it's very low. I mean, it's in the red. And we are seeing that there is a 904 millisecond latency in the user's local network. As we scroll down further, we can see that the CPU utilization looks fine. That means that the CPU utilization isn't impacting the user's application performance, while the Wi-Fi signal strength is in the 15% category. It's very low. You can scroll down further and get other details about the device, like the CPU, the disk IO, the network bandwidth, and all of the different user device events that has happened on the device. So let's let's look at another user who is traversing. So let's look at another user who is taking the path via ZIA and ZPA to the application. In this case, the user is going direct and he is not going via the ZIA or ZPA cloud. So the user we are going to look at is the name is Jimmy James. All right, so the user we're going to take a look at is Jimmy James. And we select some applications for which we would like to look at the data. And here, let's look at SharePoint Online. So the ZDX score in this case is hovering between okay and poor range. And as we see here, the page fetch time is 1600 millisecond, 2400 millisecond, which is bad from a page load perspective. The server response time is also not looking good. The availability looks fine though. So here, as we see, the user is going via the ZIA public service edge, and we are able to showcase the entire path the user is taking to the destination application, which is extremely difficult without. In this case, we are able to see the path the user is taking via ZIA. This level of visibility can only be provided with ZDX. Other third-party traditional monitoring tools would fail right here at the ZIA public service edge. Similar example would be for the private applications, the applications which are hosted in your on-prem infrastructure or your cloud. So here's an example of an application which the user is accessing over ZPA. And in this case, the application score is good. There seems to be not much issues accessing this application. And as we go down further, we can see the entire path which the user is taking, for including the ISP, the public service, the ZPA service edge, the app connector, all the way to the application hosted in your on-prem or your cloud infrastructure. Again, this level of visibility into a zero trust environment is unique, and a lot of point products fail to provide this type of visibility. Next, let's take a look at a capability which we call the Y engine, which helps you troubleshoot and get root cause analysis for issues quickly, instead of you trying to go down and figure out, looking at the different attributes on what caused this issue. Y engine helps you understand what are the possible issues by using AI engine and machine learning. So let's take a look at it. So we'll go back to our example user here, Curtis. We set the data to last 2 hours in this case, which is fine. And we select the application. We see the ZDX score is low, and we click on one of the data points here. So let's say we click on here. you see an option to analyze score. Let's click on it. And what we are doing is we are looking at the past data points and the existing data point and analyzing those attributes and the data which we collected to understand what could have caused the issue in this case. So we see that with 95% confidence, the AI engine is able to tell us that the user's performance was impacted after they connected to a different network interface. Now, why? In this case, it's a wireless adapter, which so basically they switched from uh, probably LAN to a wireless connection, and that impacted their issue. And that's exactly what we saw when we looked at the cloud path. Now, let's take a look at how do you get proactively alerted when this type of issues happen in your environment. Instead of the user opening a service desk case and reaching out to you after the fact, how you could be proactive and get to know some of these issues in your environment sooner. So we have alerting feature, which basically gives you ability to tweak and configure trigger points based on which you'd like to be alerted, or using different methods. So you could get alerted using email, or you could get alerted using webhook notification. It could also tie in to your ServiceNow integration as well. So here we are looking at some of the ongoing alerts uh, which are happening right now. And in the alert history, we have a list of alerts which have happened in the past. So here we have selected 2 hours. Let's go and select a little bit more time range here. And we see some of the alerts which have happened in the past. Now, rules let you configure the different metrics and the data points based on which the alerts should be triggered. So I'll transition to my test service now deployment, and here we see that there have been multiple cases which have opened with the alerting. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So this is an incident which was opened as a part of test directly from ZDX integration. And down here, we have this deep tracing functionality where the service desk user, the IT support user, could go in and launch an on-demand troubleshooting session on the user's desktop. So we already have a deep tracing session launched here, but I'll quickly take you through what the process looks like. So the user, in this case, let's say, for example, wants to collect more information on the end user's PC, wants to run some synthetic test and understand what does the network metrics and the device metrics looks like right now. So they can come here, click on deep tracing button. And this is an integration which we recently developed. And they could provide a name here of the session, how long the service desk user would like this deep tracing session to run for, define the user's name. So you can go ahead and type the name of the user you're looking for. So in this case, we say Curtis or any of the user, and select the device which we are looking at. So we could go ahead and select a device here. Further down, the user will go ahead and select what is the specific application we are interested in, and then the web probe and the cloud path probe associated to that application. And then once they save it, a deep tracing session gets triggered within ZDX, which is here. And it reaches out to the endpoint and starts collecting telemetry data with 1 minute granularity. So instead of the regular 5-minute polling interval, now we have granular data which can help the IT service desk to look at the different data points and help troubleshoot the issue faster, all while all of that from within their ServiceNow deployment. So let's take a look at this deep tracing session which was run in the past. You can click on this link here, and it will take you directly to the page for that specific user for which the deep tracing was run. I would also like to call out that all of this process which we did, there is absolutely no user intervention with the end user required. All of this is happening in the background where the service desk is looking for more information from the user's PC. And again, it will provide you data from the user's PC, from web page, web pro metrics, the server response time, all of the different metrics which we looked before, but now at 1 minute granularity. So 11:59 and 12 a.m. To summarize, Zscaler Digital Experience helps monitor every user, device, app, no matter where they are. It helps to monitor user experience and reduce MTTR and MTTD to help with quicker issue resolution. All of this without needing another client or agent and leveraging your existing Zscaler client deployment.
All right, great presentation, great demos. This is fantastic. Let's get on to our Q&A portion. Let's see, are you guys ready for some questions?
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
here.
Excellent. So the first one here, do you have to correlate device, network, and application data manually?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. So hopefully during the presentation you saw that you're able to basically take device, network, and application information and visually see it within the product. So Vikas was showing you how you can easily do that. You don't actually need deep expertise across these kind of different areas. And it actually breaks down the silos for monitoring, right? So you don't have to take information from you're monitoring for devices, or you're monitoring from the network standpoint or application. What we're doing is trying to visually show you that end to end, right from the device all the way up to the application. And we're not only showing you that, but we're actually showing you how you can actually dive in and try to address those root cause issues rather quickly. We know that time is money, and being able to identify the problems and potentially having solutions around them, thinking through that, right? Saying, hey, we've seen latencies before. Here are some ideas on how we solve it. So I do have a special guest with us, Amit Patel. He's our deployment expert, so he's like always knee deep in with customers, and I'm going to let him chime in here too if he wants to add anything.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rohit. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. So yeah, definitely, we are really big on our single pane of glass approach, right? The basic fundamental vision we had at mind when building ZDX is, well, we want to make this the tool for zero trust visibility, but at the same time, right, we want all the variables in the same screen. So ZDX is built to basically just show you all the layers of data, which includes the application layer, the network layer. Also, very important thing to understand that at any of these layers, right, although ZDX belongs to the wider Zscaler platform, we don't rely on your traffic flowing through Zscaler clouds to give you visibility. So regardless of how the application is being accessed, we would perform the measurements accordingly, right? And no one but Zscaler can give you visibility through Zscaler, right? So regardless of whatever that is, ZIA, ZPA, VPN direct, we will still give you complete visibility, right? And along with the network, the device, and most importantly, device events is a very important value add that ZDX brings to table, right? So we are listening for events on your Zscaler thread, which is changes to client connector forwarding mode, version updates, right? Hardware, software changes, self-explanatory, and network changes, right? Most important when you are analyzing sudden changes in performance. So all of these things are basically built in within the ZDX dashboards. And when you select a data point, we do a pretty good job of lighting up the whole screen. So all you need to do is basically scroll through all the layers of data in that single pane that helps you quickly identify where exactly the bottlenecks lie.
Okay, great. Yeah, and you mentioned a single pane of glass, and That brings up another audience question here. They're asking, why do I need another monitoring application? We already have several for the different parts of the environment. So I wonder if you can address that one.
Yeah, sure. Great. So, the single pane of glass approach is really big, right? So that on a high level, right, if you look at monitoring, it's siloed, right? And I like to classify it in three main silos. So we have the SaaS cloud provider self-reporting, but they're more interested in showing how the grass is always green rather than giving you insights into your end user experience, right? By the time they put out a status post, well, your users are actually complaining, right? Second is basically the network performance monitoring, right? But that's only looking at probably the subset of network, right? If you talk about ZIA, you would need to painstakingly in first step, right, set up, okay, what are the Zscaler destinations or service edges you want to be monitoring, right? And even then, we are Zscaler, we would try to defend our infrastructure. Metrics are not going to be very accurate, right? But even if that is the case, right, number one, it's challenging to set up. Number two, it lacks context on what's going on at the application and device layer, right? And number three, well, it is not seamless, right? You do not know at a given point in time what Zscaler pop a user is going to, right? And then thirdly, IT infrastructure monitoring. That's more focused on essentially monitoring the health of devices within your own control, right? So it lacks all the context in the world on what's going on beyond your infrastructure, let alone the application and the endpoint layer. So with ZDX, right, we are looking at all of these layers of data together to prevent, you going on this exercise of looking at 10 different consoles, right? When there is an issue, trying to figure out whatever sticks out like a sore thumb, manually correlating all of these metrics to figure out what exactly is the issue.
All right. Yeah, makes sense. Next question here comes from Patrick. It says, what if we're just a small company that only uses Microsoft 365 from the office and from home? There's no custom app at the office. What can you do for us? You're pointing out that the studies posted are large companies. Is there a sweet spot for your solution, or are there SMB versions? How does that work?
No, so on ZDX side, right? So the scale of organization was reference only, right? And when we talk about applications, right? Built-in applications, which also include the Microsoft 365, right, are the template for commonly used SaaS apps. But custom applications is not something that you host internally, but it is anything apart from the built-in applications, right, that is specific to your organization. Now, coming to the scale, right, we do the same great job, right, even if you have 100 users or 150,000 users, right? The scale of data does not matter to ZDX. We would be collecting the same great telemetry for whatever the amount of users you have, right? And whatever applications you care about monitoring. Matter of fact, ZDX has a whole Microsoft 365 SKU, which lets you monitor all of the Microsoft 365 applications plus one custom app. So it looks like for Patrick, that can be a great, let's say, fit.
Gotcha. Next question comes from Joseph, who's saying, how much does this monitoring affect the user? So is there a ZDX agent, and does it take a lot of resources on the device?
So we are really big on sort of keeping only a single agent on client devices, right? So ZDX runs as an independent module within the Zscaler client connector, and we ensure to only do basic bare bones of metrics from the clients itself to ensure that by doing the monitoring, right, we are not adversely impacting the end user experience we are monitoring in the first place. All the resource intensive tasks, heavy lifting, get taken care of in the cloud.
Yeah, just to add to that, one other piece is that if you're new to Zscaler, what you want to think about is Zscaler is a holistic solution in terms of security, and we have different components as part of it. it's really a differentiator for us. So we've combined security, plus we've given you the monitoring capability all within the same client that Amit was mentioning.
Okay. All right, great.
And I guess, sorry to barge
Yeah,
in,
go
Scott,
ahead.
but I think we missed one from Patrick where he was asking if we require any servers on-prem or something. Absolutely not. All you need is the Zscaler client connector. Even the ZDX module gets transparently installed when you control the entitlement from the Zscaler client connector portal. You don't need to deploy anything else on-prem. Everything is in the Zscaler cloud.
Okay. All right, excellent. Warren's wondering if Apple devices are supported with the monitoring.
Yes, we support MacBooks, so Mac OS, Windows, and Chromebooks in beta at this point with Android.
Okay, great. There's also a training question here from Eric and others. How much time does it take to train the service desk on the tool and to administer it?
So part of my job, right, is leading deployments across the globe, and we do trainings in 3 phases as part of our engagements. We would do a 1 hour on basic overview of the platform, 1 more hour on basically deeper dive on metrics, and the 3rd hour on, let's say, how do you analyze metrics within ZDX to derive operational insights out of the product. So that is the training we provide or that we recommend, right? So, but ZDX, we have the AI ML engine and all of the other stuff, but it is a sort of cutting edge technology. It's a lot of metrics, right? So the correct answer is it really depends, but someone who is used to looking at metrics or monitoring data, it should not take them, let's say, more than a week to get used to and start being productive with the platform.
Okay. All right. Super. Matt, there was more to Eric's question. It's number 37 there in the list. If that's relevant, let me know, and we can get more into that. There was also a question here from Jeffrey, who's wondering if the tool repairs issues, and if not, are there tools that you guys play well with, or what do you recommend as far as that goes?
Sure. So answering to Eric's question, I'm not sure what he means. We are not a VPN replacement solutions with ZDX, right? That is our private access product line on the Zscaler side, which is also pretty easy to roll out and deploy, but that would be the correct place or the correct product to be looking at if you want to replace your VPNs. Coming to Jeffrey's question, right? As of today, we do not have remediation flows, but we are definitely looking at integrating with Microsoft Intune, right? Getting the Microsoft context into ZDX, getting ZDX context into MS Intune, and pushing remediation flows.
Okay. All right. Super. And there's another one here. They're wondering, can you really detect if it's a regional or local issue or a problem with a single user? Like how granular does it get with the detection?
Yeah, definitely, right? So we are collecting data at the user level, and we do a good job on bubbling it up. So when you log in, actually, you get greeted by the dashboard, which has applications sorted in ascending order of ZDX scores, right? And the map lit up, which literally helps you understand whether there is something going on a global scale, right? Or if it's a region specific or a user specific issue. So that is essentially built into the platform. It's pretty easy.
Okay. All right. Super. Well, it looks like we're coming up on time here, but if somebody wanted to get started with Zscaler or find out more, what do you guys recommend?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got these awesome takeaways. So we've got more information because there's always more that you can learn about different monitoring best practices. So we've got a webinar series that you can take advantage of. Definitely look at the customer case studies because that'll give you really good insight as to how others are doing it. So you don't just take our word for it. Look at some of the other case studies, and then reach out to us. We've got plenty of information on zscaler.com/ZDX, and you can learn more about the Zscaler monitoring solution that we have.
Okay. Well, Rohit, Amit, Vikas, thank you all for putting together a really informative presentation today, for the slides, for the demo, and for all the insights in the Q&A. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, and before we wrap up, we do have one more piece of business. It's the $300 Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of that gift card today is Brent Berry from Tennessee. So congratulations to Brent. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I do want to thank Zscaler for bringing us up to speed today and making this event possible. And thanks as always for attending and for your great questions. That concludes today's event. Have a fantastic rest of your day.